I think we'll give it just one more minute and then we'll get started. Okay, well, thank you everyone for joining us today. Before we begin, I just want to let everybody know that this Zoom session is being recorded. This recording may be used, we have another attendee. The recording may be used by Whale for educational, promotional, and archival purposes, including posting on our website and sharing with our partners. If you prefer not to appear in the recording, you're welcome to turn off your camera and or participate via the chat. Uh, let's see. We ask that you please remain on mute to reduce background noise during the presentation. There will be a chance for questions and comments at the end, and at that point after the presentation, you can feel free to come off mute when asking your questions. We also ask that everybody engage respectfully. This is a public session and we want to ensure a constructive and welcoming discussion for all participants. And disruptive or inappropriate behavior may result in removal from the session. I don't think that will be an issue. So thank you all for being here with us this evening. My name is Erin Miranda. I'm the Executive Director of the Waterfront Historic Area League, also known as WHALE in New Bedford. And I want to start this presentation, there we go, with a question that I have been asked more times than any in my career, it seems. Is there money to restore my historic home? It's a really hopeful question. It really reflects pride, a commitment to place, but it also reflects a lot of uncertainty. And for a lot of years, the honest answer most of the time has been, well, not really. So the funding landscape. If you have a historic building, a historic property, or a historic home, if it's income producing, like a commercial property or rental property, there are tools like historic tax credits that can help you restore your property. There are other complex financing tools. If the property is owned by a nonprofit, you also can have access to grants. So, but most of the time, if you're a homeowner, your options are rather limited to, personal savings, if you have a home equity line of credit or a traditional bank loan. For homeowners, it seems, at least in Massachusetts or on the South Coast, there have been, few preservation aligned tools specifically for owner occupied historic properties. So, and we understand when you own a historic home, if there can be challenges without access to funding. It also seems like we also know, because we own historic properties, that they are more costly to maintain. The materials often required, you just can't go to Home Depot and buy. So if you're facing funding challenges or trying to save up, deferred maintenance can grow, costs can increase over time, and it can result in losing historic fabric. So trying to find a middle ground tool for historic homeowners has been a bit of a challenge. So what I am doing tonight, and for the first time publicly, some people on here have heard this before in private, WHALE is excited to introduce a new concept. We're calling it the Open Door Loan Program. This goes all the way back to just after I started at WHALE in November in 2023, thinking about the concept of a revolving loan program for historic homeowners. So the concept and the idea that we've been working on internally for well over a year has been a homeowner-focused revolving loan fund available citywide for New Bedford to help property owners repair, maintain, and preserve their homes. So the idea is simple. The execution is not, but we want to provide responsible preservation aligned funding and free, I'll say it, free technical assistance to owner occupied historic and older homes in a way that for Whale is financially sustainable and mission aligned. As I said, this program that we're creating is open citywide, and the funding is focused on specifically historic exterior projects that repair, maintain, and preserve older historic homes. And we're also looking at efficiency upgrades as well. So this isn't about replacing banks. It's not about giving away money. This is we're looking to build a tool that can hopefully fill a gap and fulfill a need. The concept of a homeowner revolving loan fund has been used very successfully in other parts of the country. Not a half an hour away, the Providence Revolving Fund is probably one of the oldest and most successful in the country. It's been around for over 40 years. There's also the Heritage Home Program in Cleveland, Ohio, and Springfield, Massachusetts has a historic homes restoration program that's supported with Community Preservation Act funds. So I'm just going to go through some general, very high level concept, how we're thinking this is going to work, and then open the floor for questions and get feedback. So how do we envision this working? We've intentionally worked to make sure that this is very simple and accessible. The step one would be a basic expression of interest, like literally a short online form to determine initial eligibility, some basic information about your property, and some basic information about you. If this criteria is met, then we, probably me, and probably some members of my board of directors would do a site visit. It's not a formal inspection, but just a chance to meet, see the property, talk about your project, what do you think you want to do, and your proposed scope of work. We then would do an internal review within Whale and with our project committee, looking at preservation alignment, feasibility. And then we would then invite a full loan application with financial documentation and underwriting. And if approved, the loan would close and the project would proceed. And the idea, as the name suggests, a revolving loan fund, as the loans are repaid, the funds revolve and go on to support the next homeowner. So. Sorry. So our eligibility framework, what we've been looking at is we're trying to balance two things. Whale is a historic preservation organization, so we're balancing mission and also responsibility. We want to make sure that we are being responsible with this program and working with homeowners in New Bedford. So from a preservation standpoint, the property does have to meet a few historic criteria and the work must support preservation. At this point, it is exterior work only. Some other programs who I spoke with over the past year do interior work. They drew the line at hot tubs on patios, but at this point, everything is going to be exterior only. And the work has to either repair, restore, maintain existing historic character, elements, trim, features. It has to be historic in nature. The property has to be 75 years or older. There aren't any historic designations required, so you don't have to be listed on the National Register. You don't have to be in a local historic district. And we're also looking at what the impact of this could possibly do. Is it going to allow the homeowner to do work that they weren't previously able to do, or let them do a little bit more than they were able to do before? So from a lending standpoint, the home has to be owner occupied. This does include, we're looking at also between 1 and 3 family properties, as long as it is an owner occupied property. And then there must be some sort of, that we have to have demonstrated repayment capacity, and there will be a loan application and a credit check. Now, if it's not a good fit right now, what we are looking forward to doing is working with you to see if there are other programs available locally or regionally that may be a better fit at this point, and try to work with you to access some of those programs. And then perhaps you can come back to this loan program at a future date. The loan range we're looking at is preliminarily between $10,000 and $50,000, with terms ranging from 5 to 15 years. The loans are all going to be professionally serviced and managed. We are working both with the New Bedford Economic Development Council and also Rockland Trust as we grow this program. So the servicing, it's not going to be me servicing the loans. It is going to be an actual, we're going to have a third-party partner helping us serve these loans. Um, so I just want to go and talk a little bit about what this program isn't. This is not a grant program, although I do hold out hope that as this program grows, we can have at least a small grant component to this. I'd love to be able to grow into that, but for now, this is not a grant. It's not emergency assistance. This is, it's going to be a process. So this isn't something that we necessarily can turn around in a very limited amount of time. Unfortunately, there is not unlimited capital at this point. Again, we're just starting out. We're looking to grow this program and seed our loan pool. We have received a line of credit from Rockland Trust for us to use for this program. Rockland Trust has been a fantastic partner. They're very excited to work with us on this open door loan program. There isn't guaranteed approval, but like I said, if it's not a good fit, we're going to try to work with you to see if there may be some other options and see how you can get your project's need or property needs met in another way. And at this point, we're not intended for speculative or investor-owned projects. We're really looking to help homeowners, people who want to stay in their home, keep their homes in good repair. And we just want to be very clear about this at this point. As we're just starting out, we know that the program can evolve, but right now, this is what the program is not. And we just want to be really sure that we're clear and upfront with that on the program for the long term. So, and why a revolving loan model? As I said, the name is pretty explanatory. The loan is made, the loan gets repaid, and it goes back into the pool to support the next project. Revolving fund models have been around for many, many, many years. They are very common and useful for historic preservation organizations. Whale has had a revolving loan fund pretty much since its inception. This is how we fund a lot of our projects. We have a pool of money that goes into a project, and when that project is then transferred on, funds go back into that account so we can then invest them in a future project. Homeowner revolving loan funds are increasing in popularity, and there are a number, at least one major preservation funder, the 1772 Foundation, that is very supportive of the revolving loan fund or revolving fund model for historic preservation organizations and for historic preservation in general. So for our timeline, this is the first time that we've publicly announced this program. It's been very exciting. As I said, we've been working on this for well over a year, putting the structure in place, seeking out partnerships, but we're really excited to begin. So this first public introduction is really to help get some comments, some input from you. As we said, this is being recorded, so this will be shared on our social media and our YouTube channel. So we're getting some stakeholder input. By mid-April, we'd like to begin accepting expressions of interest. That would be that simple online form that I talked about. That will be available on our website. And we will be sending out, obviously, email communications about that. Hopefully, late spring, when the weather's much nicer, we can start doing some preliminary site visits. Summer, it'd be great to have some initial approvals that we have, one or two loans that may be ready to progress to the loan application phase. It is my goal to have one or two loans funded by the end of the year. Could be rather lofty, but I know myself and our project committee and board of directors is very excited to begin this process. The long-term plan is to grow the capital, to grow the loan pool through grant applications, seeking additional partners, raising funds. As I said before, I'd ideally love to grow this so there is a grant component to the program or loan. Perhaps there's a certain percentage of the loan that is a grant immediately up front, perhaps. So something that we're eventually going to work into, but we know if we want to start the program, we're going to have to start somewhere. So we're starting now with this soft launch, genuinely seeking some input. And we know we're going to learn as we go. We're going to get questions and comments. Anything said here tonight is going to be helpful, and we'll integrate that into our process going forward. And as we start going through the process and how we envision this moving forward, we know we may have to pivot and adjust. We know we're going to start small and hopefully foster the program and grow this into something that can really, help serve the New Bedford homeowners and in a way that perhaps they hadn't been able to before. So why do we want your feedback? You are owners of older and historic homes in New Bedford. Does this fill a real gap? Are there other things we should consider that I haven't said today? Obviously, I'm not going to bore you with the reams of paper I have from draft underwriting manuals, application, project matrix, and criteria. What concerns do you have? What questions do you have? Are there other people we should be talking to? As I said, we've done a lot of talking to partners, and we still will continue to talk to a lot of partners as we go throughout the process of launching this program. So I'm going to close where I started by saying, is there money to restore my historic home? We're hoping that with this, we'll be able to say, yes, we have a way that we can help you. You own a historic home in New Bedford. Here's how we can assist. We may not be able to say yes to every project, but I am really excited to help Whale grow a responsible and sustainable tool that hasn't existed like this in New Bedford before. So that's what the Open Door Loan Program is intended to be. So with that, I know it was a very short presentation, but I think there's a lot that we shared with you, and I would be really interested to hear what our attendees have to say. So I will open it up to any questions, comments, thoughts. We will, any questions that come out of this and going forward, I'm planning a whole big addition to our website that will have a lot of FAQs along with applications and everything. So any initial thoughts? Anyone want to go? Okay, from Brendan. Is the idea the loan program would offer either interest-free or below market rate interest? At this point, the way the program is structured, the interest rate, and I will say that our loan product was put together by a lot of this was done in-house. One of our project committee chair works for the NBEDC, so lending is his specialty. It would be prime plus three to prime plus six, depending upon the terms. Now, you may think, well, if it's not going to be, if this at this point is not below interest, if it's not a lower interest rate at this point, so why would I go to you rather than go to another bank, rather than go to a traditional lender? It'd be great to be able to maybe get to the point where Wales in a position to be able to buy down the interest rate. I know that's done in Cleveland. They have a particular setup where they have a very low rate. I think it was like 2 or 3%. So at least we're starting out with this. It's still going to be prime. Our feeling is that this is, we can provide a little more flexibility and a little more, I want to say, tailor-made. We're looking to work with the applicants perhaps a little bit more. One of the things that we're looking at is perhaps you just recently bought a historic home. You don't have enough to go to a regular lender and get a home equity line of credit. You don't have that loan to value ratio. That's something that we could be in a position where we could make that loan for you, where you necessarily wouldn't have been able to get one with a traditional lender. Plus, we would be willing to take a second or even a third position lien holder, something that a traditional lender may not be willing to do. Choosing repayment terms, I think it's going to be a little more discussion, a little one-on-one back and forth as we're working through your terms with you. So trying to figure out what you want to do, how much you need, and how we can make this program work for you in the best way. So that's really what at least this initial draw is. I think it would be really better. I know market rates have been crazy, interest rates, excuse me, have been crazy. I think it would be really great if we could get to that point where we can make an impact on the existing interest rates. So we're trying to think, it's like, why would you come to us rather than go to a traditional bank? If you can go to your traditional lender, fantastic. We're just trying to fill a gap where it may not have been. They may have been able to make it work, but if we can step in with a little more flexibility and also time-wise as well, it might be able to work. And did I say you get free technical assistance? So you have a historic project, or you want to do something with your home, you don't know where to start. Having Whale with the support of me and my board of directors and our contacts, what sort who should you use for a contact? We can help you with that, help guide you. It's like, oh, if you want to do historic windows, this is who you're going to want to work with. If you're going to be doing some historic repairing your cladding on the exterior of your house, this is a really good contractor. So working with you, so you'll get the benefit of Whale's technical assistance and project management. Also, once the loan is approved, we don't just say, okay, you're all set. We're going to be with you the whole way, making sure that your project gets done. So we're going to be with you throughout the project as well. So you get that free technical assistance and guidance of Whale as well. So I'll say that's another added bonus as well.
Erin, how are you?
Yes.
This is Tim Howland. How are you?
Hi, Tim. Oh, great. I'm wonderful. How are you? Everyone, Tim Howland is a member of Wales Board of Directors and on our project committee as well. So
I'll just reiterate what you said. You know, what would make this different from your traditional loan is that our intent is to advise along the way. It's not simply you think you need new windows and you try to find the money needed to invest in those windows. We'll do an initial consultation. We'll help you navigate the historic commission, some of the requirements for older homes. We can advise you on the process. We can help advise you on qualified contractors. So it's really more about an entire process with us than simply available funds.
thank you very much, Tim. Very, very, very well said. So yes, you're getting, not just a loan, but, Whale and our years of expertise and the expertise of individuals like Tim, who I ask questions of on a far too constant basis. So and as part of this, linked to the loan program, but something that I'm building out anyway is having that, as Tim said, contractors who to go to, who Whale has used on our own historic rehabilitation projects, building out a list of contractors and people that you can call. Oh, I own a historic house. I need an electrician who has experience with a historic house. Boom. Here's some suggestions. So building out resources for owners of older and historic homes on our website, again, available for everybody, not behind a paywall, free and available for everybody. So. Any other questions? I'm excited to say this publicly. There have been some people that have known what we've been working on for a while, and we can keep refining, but we're excited to just we're going to get started. And as I've said, we know we're going to adjust and pivot, but we're excited to be able to share this and grow this and really help. If there's a need that we're not meeting, how can this be made to help? I know Ann Laura's on the call. Anne did a Living the Old House Dream presentation for Whale and the Roachstone Stuff House back in early 2024. And I just remember you talking about, excuse me, an instance where a program like this may be helpful. So if someone does live in a historic district, they want to do, let's say, they want window replacements. They can only afford this version, but the historic commission would prefer to see this. This is something that could be a gap filler. So you could take a loan for the difference, and that would be a good way that this program can help.
Erin, I have one more question.
Sure.
You mentioned some of the other cities that are doing this. It makes sense to me that if you're using public resources, you would want the public to benefit from it, right? So it makes sense that you're using the exterior only. Do any of those cities with established programs have anything similar moving indoors?
The Cleveland program, actually, the Heritage Home program in Cleveland, which I will say it's not even Cleveland anymore. It has expanded throughout their entire county. And that's been in place for 30 something years. They will actually fund interior work. Like I said, they were the ones who said they drew the line at hot tubs on a patio, so they would not fund that. But their work, they have done historic, reconstructions, repairing and restoring historic fabric inside the house. At least for this point, we really felt it was just best to stay to the exterior of the house. If we're able to grow the program to capacity, and we can hopefully make larger loans if there's something, for example, that is interior, that is integral to the structure of the house. Like you need to do work on, the roof framing or something like that, something that necessarily isn't visible. Maybe that's not a good example, but we have had internal discussions about would we do this? What if someone wanted to do the work themselves? What about DIY? There's a lot of potential to be able to perhaps in the future grow out, but I think just and I believe the Providence revolving loan fund just does exterior work as well. I don't believe they do interior. So that's why we're at least right now just staying with visible on the outside,
Yeah, of
readily
course.
identifiable. Yeah,
Thank you.
no problem. Any other questions? This is the first time, but not the last time you'll hear about this. So really the next steps from our standpoint, like I said, we're going to, by the middle of April, I would like to, and I would say, I will put my email in the chat, and my email is also readily available on our Whale website. So feel free, if in the middle of the night you think of you have a comment, you have a situation, it's like, oh, would the loan program work for this? I encourage you, contact me, reach out if you have any questions. We're going to be putting together those preliminary, very easy Google forms. So if you're interested or think you may have a project that fits, you can very quickly let us know, and then we'll start this process. So that will be open by the middle of April. And then we'll see where this takes us. And like I said, my goal is to have 1 or 2 loans completely funded by the end of the year. We have great partners with NBEDC and also with Rockland Trust. And we are actively looking to grow the pool. There is the 1772 Foundation. We are going to be applying to them in the fall to help for additional capital for our loan pool. I was just talking with uh, uh, someone who administers that grant program for them, and they're very excited that we were launching today, our little soft launch. So they're excited to see what this does for New Bedford. So throughout really the rest of the spring, we're going to be talking about this. And also, I will say, once we have our forms online, we will have our lending criteria matrix, our product matrix, also our historic criteria that we'll be using, because we want to be very transparent in what we're looking at for historic criteria, lending criteria. And if you have a question, please feel free to just reach out and ask. We want to make sure that we're as transparent as possible with this. Like we said, we're not looking to replace anybody, but we think that what we can do, as Tim said, it's not just about the loan, it's the whole process from start to finish and everything else that Whale can bring along the way, that we think this sets this program apart for property owners in New Bedford. So, well.
Hi, Erin.
Hi, Anne.
Hi, I'm sorry. I'm walking my dogs in the trails right now. So not a question, but just a simple comment. I want to say it publicly that I want to congratulate you and your leadership at Whale to accomplish this goal. It's something that I think that New Bedford has been wanting and needing for a significant amount of time. And I know the tenacity and work of your board to get to this point. I also want to say that the city, of course, supports Whale in this initiative, and will provide in-kind services through my position. I should introduce myself to everybody. I apologize. I am the Assistant City Planner and Historic Preservation Planner for the City of New Bedford. So obviously, I consider myself a partner to Whale in all the work that they do. But I can assist, obviously, through technical assistance as well, through the Historic Commission, through the Building Department, building permitting. If any type of permitting is required, the city, of course, is going to assist. And of course, we have been discussing with Erin the potential for public funding through the Community Preservation Act to help support this fund. So we're really looking forward to helping, assisting, and supporting in any way that we can, so that the homeowners of New Bedford can continue to be good stewards to their property and support the good preservation work that Whale does. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Anne. Whale is New Bedford is so lucky to have amazing people like Anne working with the city, and the relationship between Whale and the city and the planning department is just fantastic. So we're really excited to work with Anne, and I'm really excited to be able to bring this to life. I know this has been wanted for a long time, so I'm really glad that we're able to get this going. So I'm looking forward. So thank you, Anne, and thank you to the city, to Mayor Mitchell, the administration. This is we're really excited for what this is going to do for New Bedford. So thank you very, very much. So with that, before you go, I'm just going to give you a couple of updates about some upcoming events that we have. The next in our series for our historic homeowner series, which you're on tonight. Next up is our historic homeowner meetup. So on Wednesday, May 20th, from 5 to 7 p.m. at the New Bedford Public Library in the third floor meeting room. This event is free and open for all, and we just wanted to provide an opportunity for owners of older and historic homes to gather, network, connect, hopefully inspire each other, maybe do a little therapy with each other. And Whale will be there with some literature, resources to answer questions. So it's very, just come if you can, just to kind of meet. And we're not the stars, you are. To kind of bring that community of older historic property owners together in New Bedford. We'll have some light refreshments. So that will be happening on May 20th. On May 14th, as part of AHA Preservation Celebration, Whale will be hosting a Living the Old House Dream presentation at the Roach Jones Duff House Museum and Gardens. Laura Parrish, who bought and restored an old New Bedford home, the Whale House. Some of you may be familiar with it. She'll once again share her story and insight into how she bought her first historic home, went through the restoration, and how her stewardship of a historic property. We'll have more details on that for you soon. And lastly, if you're in the mood for some springtime fun, a little shameless plug, Whale is hosting a spring fling on April 22nd at the Steeple Playhouse. It's an easy, fun event. It features food and drink and camaraderie, and proceeds from ticket sales go to fund Whale programs and projects. And tickets available on our website. It's $35. It's open bar and food. It's a fantastic deal. But I'm really excited, and I just put in the chat our historic homeowner meetup on May 20th from 5 to 7 p.m. So these will be updated in our event section on our website, and I will put in the I can't type. I'm putting in my email in the chat in case anyone has any questions. But thank you all for being a part of this monumental moment. We're publicly introducing this really great program. I'm very excited. As I said, if you have any other questions or comments, please feel to reach out to me at any point in time. And we look forward to sharing more details about our eligibility in a couple of weeks. So thank you for joining us. I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your night. Take care.